Hello and welcome back to Rage Gaming. My name is Holo and today we're talking Race to World First 100, which is amazingly already complete for most classes. Crazy to say that, the World First in Season 1 was actually claimed in just one live stream, lasting 30 hours total. A huge congrats then to Mr. Laguian. But he's far from the only person to make it to level 100 already. In fact, multiple hardcore accounts have even done it. The original rankings were quite varied, 4 classes represented in the top 10, while Necromancer was something like 14th or something like that. How do things stack up compared to that and my assessment just before launch? Now, as a heads up, this information is based not only on social media, but also live streams, Twitter, Reddit, and so on, but also, as I originally looked at pre-season launch, the website D4 Armory. This is, as they claim themselves, an unofficial source for a sort of leaderboard. So it's definitely not concrete foolproof, but it is a very good source to look at what's possible. It'll also give us a way to look at what the level 100 players and those that have raced so fast are actually wearing currently, giving us an idea of what they managed to do these things with. Now, in my original power rankings video in the lead up to Season 1, I suggested what classes I thought would be the top rankings for Season 1 and its launch. I thought at the bottom of that totem pole would definitely be Sorceress. After the insane nerfs in 1.1, after already being in a widely agreed terrible state, Sorcerers were really knocked into the dirt. But not just Sorcerers. My other pick for number 4 was Barbarians, which are also in a really over-nerfed, awkward, limited playstyle state. Both the Sorcerer and the Barbarian are using mostly the same abilities in every build version they have. And in 1.1, the Barbarians also took a major hit with one of their few viable builds, the Hammer of the Ancients, which just really limits their options, which were already limited. This opinion isn't my own because it was also acknowledged in the Fireside chat to address the patch of 1.1 and Season 1 complaints and concerns on Friday the 21st. The team have claimed that this coming Friday, the next Friday coming, we will hear about the incoming patch to help these two classes out of their awful positions currently. So my ranking for Sorcerer number 5, Barbarian number 4 seems well placed. Above that, it was definitely harder to say. I put Druid at number 3 under Rogue 2 because while Druid is strong as hell, very unique dependent and has a very awkward leveling start experience. Meanwhile, Rogue is a much more well-balanced class. In fact, I believed it to be the most balanced class in pre-season and likely also Season 1. Rogue also has some incredible potential in Season 1 thanks to a new heart, particularly for imbuement builds. My prediction was Twisting Blades, featuring a focus on imbuements, would be the king build for leveling and likely Season 1 in its early days for rogues. Finally, that means I thought Necromancer was going to be the best class going into Season 1. Basically, I feel it has the strongest showing with its top build, Bone Spear, with its incredible leveling, the fastest Uber Lilith solos, tier 100 clears on multiple builds, and in good times at that, so on and so on. So that's what I ranked them and figured they'd be. How did things actually stack up with the race to World First? Well, remember how I said the World First level 100 was by the streamer Mr. Laguian? Yeah, he was playing a Necromancer. Necromancer went from the least played and represented class in the Race to World 100 preseason to the winner of Season 1. And you'll never guess what he was playing. That's right, Bone Spear. Who could have seen that coming? Despite its nasty nerfs in 1.1 and the bug fix to its main offensive aspect, that being splintering, making it less reliable or slower to generate vulnerability with Bone Spear specifically, it's the fact that the ability can reach towards or literally 100% crit chance. And there's a new heart which boosts your crit damage, somewhat mitigating the loss of crit damage that we saw in 1.1, which really helps. Further, there's the new speed clearing potential of the class that also comes down to a new heart, which we could get right at the start of Season 1 in World Tier 1. The Vicious Heart Sacrilegious, which triggers Corpse Explosion and, more importantly, Corpse Tendrils for free. With no cooldown, just as long as the skill is on your bars. It's insane. So all those terrible CDR changes, it didn't matter at all for Necromancers. They just get to run through dungeons, popping bodies passively with infinite AoE stuns, which of course with the grasping aspect skyrockets your crit chance and crit damage all the while. On top of that, Bone Spear's best resource generation aspect can actually be consistently got now, as a reward, unlocking it in your codex permanently via completing Chapter 2 of the new season journey. So that helps you get going as a Necromancer way faster, alongside the fact that you're super effective with CC, mob clear, burst, and so on, just so good for leveling. So it's no wonder Necromancer won the race to me, and that's also why I was expecting it to be the number 1 class going into Season 1. So, hey, validation, I guess. But things get more complicated as we go beyond that. Obviously, there's 4 of the classes to consider. What came second? It was in fact Druid, not Rogue, like I imagined it would be. The player, Vega, who sadly doesn't seem to stream, was able to achieve World Second and was the second class to level 100. What's funny about that is how they were in the same group as Liguian, just barely behind in XP somehow, and they were even closely followed because their third player in the group, Zegli, claimed World Third, who was also playing a Necromancer. It makes you wonder, did they decide who was going to get World First, or it just randomly happened that way? Vega was using this collection of gear and skills, which was basically pulverized bear, which I imagine we all could have expected. What's odd about the screen that we're looking at here is they only have like the one heart equipped, and it seems like they've got skulls in their other armor pieces in the jewelry. Very strange because the hearts are really powerful. You figure they were running them, or something funky's happened here. Potentially they were just ignoring malignant enemies because, you know, you have to stop to activate the heart, then wait a while, then eventually the monster will spawn, you kill it, then you get the heart. Truly, it's a bit too slow. I hope they speed that up. If we look at the armory of the Necromancer that actually got 100 in the same group, they had 3 hearts on, so I don't know. Wonder why they aren't running 3 hearts. Maybe they've taken them off, maybe they're reworking their build. It's strange and we just can't see them, sadly. In third place as a class then, it must be Rogue based on my assumptions, right? No. Third place, which was actually 4th place overall out of the rankings, was of all classes, Sorcerer. As a 4-man group of just all 4 sorcerers, first place appeared to go to lead according to the default armory page. But having watched the stream and actually see it happen, it was actually Popez that made it to level 100 first, although they were all very close, hitting 100 in the same dungeon run essentially. So any of them could have been first, it just so happened to be Popez. Anyway, all 4 of these sorcerers were using the same build by all appearances, the classic Ice Shards build that we all expected to see at this point. 3 hearts in question though, only had one that helped them AoE DPS, and the other 2 were focused on survival, this one generating immunity every 100 seconds, and this one helping them stun targets after spending primary resources. So basically 2 of the 3 options help them simply stay alive, which I think is a wise choice for a sorcerer. So who came 4th in terms of classes then? Yet finally it was Rogue, placed 8th overall in the full rankings. It was also in a team that reached level 100 nearly at the same time. Empyrean was able to claim the spot for the class though, while in a 4-man group that consisted of 2 rogues, a necromancer and a druid. What's interesting about the player's build though is that, as you can see, they were using penetrating shot instead of what we expected, twisting blades imbue build. Of course they're still doing an imbue build using that new heart that gives the crazy imbuement potency options, but the other rogue player, 7 in that group, was indeed the twisting blades imbue build, so maybe it was just personal preference, maybe they just like penetrating shot. Pretty cool to see though that they're actually using a mix of hearts, like Empyrean was using a set of 3 while 7 was using a different set of 3, so maybe there's options for rogues in the meta. But having said all that, there's a class unmentioned so far, the class that won the race to world first in both softcore and hardcore in pre-season. Where's the Barbarian? Well, from what I can see at the time of recording this video and this footage, there is simply one Barbarian in the relevant levels, at level 97 currently. The player, Wheelchair, is the highest level Barbarian, and they're playing on hardcore too. So yeah, I imagined that Barbarian would be 4th on the list, so I wasn't far off I suppose, but still, they're obviously far behind. Wheelchair looks to be playing, naturally, Whirlwind Barbarian as you might expect, but remember, Barbarians were also called out by Blizzard to need some attention and fast, and they're gonna get it, much like Sorcerers in that upcoming patch. By the way, if you're wondering how all these players reached level 100 so quickly, every clip that I've watched of these people hitting 100 has been in the same place. A Nightmare Dungeon version of Surat's Lair, usually around tier 44 to 46, which would place the enemies at or just below level 100 themselves. So I would say it's a very safe bet that if you want to do a Nightmare Dungeon, ideally it should be Surat's Lair as the focus if you want to level as fast as possible. But there you have it. Barbarian is still yet to hit level 100, Rogue came 4th, 3rd to Sorcerer with that amazing 4 Sorcerer group, 2nd to Druid, and finally 1st to Necromancer. Pretty interesting. I'm not sure if we're going to see any balance patch stuff affecting the other 3 classes, but it's very clear that Sorcerer and Barbarians are about to get some important help, big picture, which I do agree they both need. Of course, there's a lot more to the game than just speed leveling, and Sorcerer and Barbarian have clear issues. For now though, I hope you've enjoyed our look at how things went. I've been Hollow, you've been you. Thanks for watching and see you next time.
Josh, Cotton, and Hollow with the videos, dropping the humor like a hammer on your tippy toes, bringing entertainment on a daily arrangement to take our insanity and turn it into entertainment. Yes, I said entertainment twice. to reiterate that it is nice to look into your faces on a mostly daily basis when you let us in your homes to make the whole world a stage. Goodbye.